Alright, what's up guys? Once again, as I'm sure you can tell by the title, it's going to be another guide video, and this one is going to be kind of like a build overview that's not going to be specific, or obviously it's going to be fighter, but it's going to be a specific build for fighter, and basically, if you like moving fast, if you like doing a ton of damage, and you want to play a B tier build, then this video is going to be perfect for you, because we are going over Slayer Fighter, which, to be honest, I actually had a lot of people say they want something like this. And if you don't know what Slayer Fighter is, it is this right here. It makes it so you cannot equip plate armor, but you gain 5 weapon damage bonus when holding a weapon in each hand. So what that means is if you have a weapon, let's say you have a weapon here in your main hand, and you have another weapon here. The main thing is that you can do that's really cool is you can equip a lantern that the woodsman used to. Oh, here it is. You can equip a lantern, and if you equip a lantern here, you get this counts as a weapon. See, slot type secondary weapon. This actually does count as a weapon, which is weird, but it does, because it says utility type, not weapon type, like most weapons would say. However, you equip that, you get the Slayer bonus, so this falchion would, instead of having 37 damage, it would have 50 or 42, and you hit harder. Then you pair it with things like dual wield, which gives you an attack speed bonus when you have weapons equipped in both hands, which, like I said, once again, the lantern does count as a weapon, so it does proc both of these. And then your last two perks are very optional. You can go like combo attack and projectile resistance. These are both fine perks. Projectile resistance is nice because you're not going to have much from the armor you're wearing. You don't really have many other options here. Defense mastery is actually pretty okay, and I'll show you why in a second. Weapon mastery you don't need. Swift you don't need because you're wearing light armor. Shield mastery you have no shield. Counterattack barricade no shield, and adrenaline spike sucks. So the thing is, obviously you can see these are the perks here that you're going to run. Generally, like I said, you can swap projectile mastery out, or you can swap combo attack out for defense mastery. And if I pull up the thing I want to show you guys right here, this is pretty much an example of a Slayer build you're going to want to run. This is like you see the armor and the setup. Obviously, now this is not my build. This is someone else's. I don't play Slayer. However, you do see, look at the weapon choices. Falchion Lantern, like I said, to proc the Slayer dual effect. Your secondary, you're going to want to run a crossbow. Crossbow is just your best secondary. You don't have to run a lot. If you run a longbow, you have to use a slot for weapon mastery, and you have a damage penalty. Crossbow is really nice to start a fight off. You get one shot, rush in, really fast, do a lot of damage. Great, because they're already starting the fight off, losing a big portion of their HP because of your crossbow shot. And then for your gear choices, you're going to want to look for heavy leather leggings, riveted gloves, padded tunic for the chest piece, and then for your helmet, leather cap, and then boots. The boots are very, honestly, the boots aren't as important. You can really swap between anything you want. Heavy boots give you the most armor. Rugged boots will give you armor and MR, and then light foots will give you the best move speed. However, light foots do give you very, very little armor rating. And the reason I said defense mastery is good is because you see here, if you look over here in the physical damage tab on the screenshot, if you look at the physical damage reduction, this guy is 50.5% in just leather armor. Whenever you get up to this range, defense mastery actually gives you a good amount. Here, I can show you actually really quick. You see, let's say I equip all this. Let's say I'm at like 40% right now. Let's see how much defense mastery gives me at 40%. Just here, it's already going to give me 6%, and it's 10%, so, it obviously would give me more, and I'm at 50. So it gives you a very good amount whenever you're that high. And the thing is, so the way this build is played, right, is mostly you're focusing on mobility and very high damage, a very high burst damage build. Obviously, because even if you get like good PDR, like see like the screenshot, 50% physical damage reduction. However, they do only have 124 health, which you can get much higher. Like for example, if you stack your strength up to like 40, which you can do, you can easily break 150 and push towards 160, 170 HP, and it's you're actually pretty tanky at that point. You're kind of close. You're pretty close to a barbarian. However, that's not realistic for most gear sets. Like that's in like absolute BIS level gear. Because the thing is, with Slayer Fighter, you want to focus on strength and you want to focus on agility, right? Oh wait, honestly, I just realized I just showed you. I just realized I completely forgot. Hold on, I completely forgot to show the thing I was talking about here. So like, if I equip all these, because I forgot I had it closed. If I equip all these and I equip defense mastery, see I go from 40.8 to 46.7. So it's giving me almost 6% at 40%. And if I'm at 50%, then it gives me even more. However, like I was saying, the main thing is builds, you want to focus on strength and agility. Strength gives you extra damage and it gives you extra HP, whereas agility obviously gives you a ton of move speed and a ton of action speed. If you don't know what action speed is, action speed basically just makes you swing faster, right? It makes you swing faster, makes you interact faster. You see here it says it increases how fast you interact with stuff, chests, portals, corpses, etc. Your weapons count, I guess. But just think of action speed as attack speed for all intents and purposes. But yeah, so you're going to want to focus on strength and agility. In an absolute BIS kit, you're going to be pushing around 40 for both of them. Probably like 45 agility, or like 40 to 45 agility and around 35 to 40 strength. That's your like actual BIS level gear. However, you do not need that to run it, obviously. If you run with worse gear, I mean, you know, you're going to get worse results. However, this build shines very well in solos. It is not as good in trios, because in trios, you know, you have 3 more people, or there's 2 more people to deal with instead of just a one-on-one. There's a lot more situations you have to consider. You know, like things like cleric, rangers. You caught an earthquake, you're dead, because at the end of the day, you are playing a less tanky barbarian, right? Like, that's why this build is not like an S tier build, because at the end of the day, while it may be fun and you probably do more damage than a barbarian using a one-handed weapon, which you do, you definitely do, but you are always going to be less tanky. You are starting with 15 less strength than they do. You are literally starting with 30 less HP, so it's much harder to build up. You have to get 15 points in strength just to get to a barbarian starting point. However, we do have higher agility, and we have nice tools like Second Wind and Sprints that help you. You know, you get a lot of movement speed. You sprint into the fight, insta-kill people, get out. It's really, really good in solos. Also, Slayer is a very, very good starting build for wipes, because it takes very little gear to get going, and you get a ton of free stats from just Slayer and dual wield. Whereas these other two, I mean, you know, like, I mean, these are like kind of just whatever. These are kind of filler perks. These don't really give you a giant difference. But dual wield and Slayer give you a very noticeable difference, and you can catch people off guard a lot of times with how much damage you do. And I mean, honestly, it's not a very complicated build. It's pretty straightforward, like I said. For stat prio, what we're gonna look for on armor is you're gonna want to look for either something like this right here, or look for something like this right here. Both of these are very, very good. Ideally, you'd roll armor rating on them as well. So, for example, if these had armor rating on them, as a purple rarity of these with armor rating would be the literal BIS level gloves you could get, right? So you're gonna look for something like this, or even something like these right here: 2 agility, 2 strength, 3 agility, and armor rating. Then for jewelry, you're gonna want to look for agility or strength jewelry that rolls the other stats. You're like, you know, because like I said, you're gonna be stacking heavy leather armor. You can't, because you can't wear the plate. And then you just want to stack as much agility and as much strength as possible. And then when you do that, the way you play generally is, like I said, to start a fight off, use your crossbow. Try to get a good crossbow shot on them. If you do, you can engage on them. Because once again, keep in mind, even in like really good gear, you're not incredibly tanky. Like you can get a decent level, but you're still gonna be, you know, relatively squishy. The build is pretty much just about killing them before they kill you. It's like they can't kill you if they're dead, right? That is basically the entire, like if you had to pick a phrase to sum up Slayer Fighter, that's what it would be. Like I said, it's a fun build. It's not fantastic, you know, it's nothing crazy. I play it every now and then. I enjoy it. I've tried it with really good levels of gear. It's not that great. I'm gonna be real. It's definitely much, much worse than a barbarian. However, if you only want to play fighter and you want a different playstyle from your generic plate armor, slow moving around, tanky build, Slayer Fighter is a nice alternative. You know, I mean, there's like, it could be good. If you're an insane level of gear, then this could be good. And honestly, if you're in a really insane level of gear, you could run this in trios. The only downside is you have to use a one-handed weapon, and a lot of one-handed weapons will lose. Obviously, if you fight anything that has a two-handed weapon, you're generally going to lose out. Like a Warmaul Barbarian is always going to beat you. A Plate Fighter, also going to beat you. However, the thing is, Slayer Fighter, you shouldn't be playing it like a frontline, right? Like, you can, because, you know, Barbarians play the same way, and you're going to have similar stats to them, even a bit less, but you can play it like a frontline, but it's not best. So you don't want to play like fighter, like you don't want to play like a traditional comp where the Slayer Fighter is your frontline. You want to play it where Slayer Fighter is almost like a bard or a rogue, where you're trying to like get around the edges of the fight to get to the back line, because if you get to the back line, you kill them very, very fast. Like 2 to 3 tapping is almost guaranteed on any character that's not a tank. Clerics could be a bit tankier, so it could be a bit harder, but like rangers, wizards, rogues, all of those, bards, pretty much guaranteed 2 tap for headshots 100%. Yeah, once again, you know, there's not a whole lot else to the build. It's kind of just what it is. Very straightforward. Like, your gear choices, like, you have it, like I said, you know, I told you, like, this screenshot, like I said, it does show, like, I think this is the optimal gear. The reason being is, obviously, riveted gloves give you strength, padded tunic gives you strength, heavy leather legs gives you HP. Heavy leather legs could be swapped out for something else. However, it's not the greatest. Okay, actually, the literal best thing you can wear is Wolf Hunter legs, which are the crafted ones. The only downside is, obviously, you have to craft these. If you notice them, they have strength rolled on them still, and they have flat max HP, and they have a higher armor rating and lower movement speed penalty than the normal heavy leather legs. I don't know if these have them. No, these don't. But yeah, so you see, these are your theoretical best ones. However, that's not realistic. You're not going to be spending 1,500 gold making Wolf Hunter legs for a Slayer Fighter build, right? I mean, maybe you will, but I wouldn't. I would advise against it. However, like I was saying, and then for stat rolls, which you're going to be looking for on gear, is mainly you're looking for strength, agility, plus all attributes, armor rating, and weapon damage. Weapon damage is actually very, very good because you do want, like, weapon damage is pretty high priority because this build is about doing damage. It's not a tanky build. It's a build that's like, you can be tanky, but your main objective is to hit really hard. So strength and agility are probably your two most important ones because you do need a lot of stats to run this. The more agility you have, the faster you attack, the more faster you move. The more strength you have, the more damage you do, and the more HP you have. Then right after those, I'd follow it up by weapon damage. Weapon damage is essential to this build. You don't want to be going into melee and then getting out-traded by people because you don't have enough damage, right? Like that would kind of defeat the entire purpose of the build. But other than that, there's a lot of different things you can run. This build is very, very versatile in the gear. Like I said, this is the best gear you can use. However, you can use really any leather armor. Any leather armor, you can use any of the one-handed swords. Your offhand is almost always going to be a lantern. It's the best one because it has no movement speed penalty and at higher rarities can roll stats like weapon damage, which, if you were trying to take a dagger that does that, you have a movement speed penalty, and it's like 3%. It's like the lowest you could go. But lantern, no movement speed penalty. And yeah, that just about sums up the video. I don't think I missed anything. There's definitely possible. I don't really play Slayer Fighter myself that much. I'll play it every now and then. I definitely don't play it enough to be like, super knowledgeable on it. This is just kind of like an intro level guide to get you started. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I will do my best to answer them. Until next time, boys. Peace.